fellow teachers. Today I'm going to show you a little tutorial on how you can create a OneNote folder for your ERLA conferences, for any notes that you may take while you're working with students, and just a spot for your students and you to kind of collaborate and work together on. So what you're seeing, you are actually seeing my folder that I have created with our 5th grade students. So as you can see on the side, I have folders for all of my students. Now, once you create a OneNote folder for all of your students and they log in, they can only see their own individual folder, which is what's nice about OneNote. When you are logged into your OneNote, you can see every student that you create a OneNote folder for. And you could put in different folders. I have ERLA and I have a reading log labeled into my folder. But you can create any subfolders in here that you would like to use. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about what I do with my students for our ERLA conferences and how I have this notebook set up. So as you can see, once I entered all my students in and we went through what a OneNote folder looks like and how they can use it, we started conferences in the middle of September. So what I have done is for every conference that I have with my students, I have a folder for their notes, for all of their power goals, and then their evidence. And I have kept track of that in each of their folders. So each time I meet with them, I add a new page and I label it with that date, along with the work that they have done. Now, once you create a folder and you create a page in here, you can see that I have given this student a power goal of interpreting figurative language, including similes and metaphors. So this student went ahead, I gave them a chart, I gave them an example. We had a mini lesson on how to use similes and metaphors, and then how to find them in their text. So after that, I went ahead and created a table that the student could type in. So the student gave me an example of a simile or metaphor. Then they gave me the meaning that they thought it was and the text evidence of where they found that in the text. Then the student also got a comprehension goal and they typed in their goal underneath comprehension. You can put different images in here, and I usually just give them a fun little star or an image so that they can differentiate between the vocab and the comprehension goals. At the bottom, you will see that I always end my conference with a time. So this gives me something to look back at as well as my students. So for this example, in this conference, I set it for Tuesday, October 15th at 11 o'clock. So this gives the students and families a place that they can go to look for the next date of their next conference, as well as myself if I need to be reminded if it's not on my calendar. This gives me a quick place where I can go back and look. So let's log into my Pasco Connect and let's create your own OneNote. Now that you are logged into my Pasco Connect, you are going to want to click on the Office 365 app icon. Once I click in the Office 365 app icon, I can see all of my different apps up here. For this particular use, we're going to be clicking on OneNote. Here you can see that I have a bunch of different folders that are shared with me, but for the sake of this video, we are going to click on New at the top, and you can either create a notebook for yourself, for your own notes, or a class notebook. So for this instance, I'm going to click on Class Notebook since we are going to create one for students to be able to share their work in as well. The first step is you are going to name your class. So for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to name it 4th grade ELA, or 4th grade ERLA, since we are going to be using OneNote for the purpose of ERLA conferences. Now it tells you of all of the different types of folders and features that OneNote allows you to use. You can use a collaboration space where you and students can work together. You can use it as a library for your students, but for this instance, we are going to use it as a notebook. So you're going to click Next. The next step that you are going to have is to give another teacher permission to use this class notebook. So for say that you are on a team of 4 teachers and you guys want to put all of your students' names into the OneNote so you can share data, you can look at each other's power goals, conference with different students, or add in an ESE support teacher, you can definitely add them into this OneNote and they will have access to go in to see what you and what your students have been working on. Now, if you do not want to add a teacher at this time, that's okay. Go ahead and click the next button. Not something you have to do at this stage. If you want to go back and add a teacher or a support person, you can do that another time as well, and I can show you that later in the video. Now it's going to ask for your students' names. You may begin by typing in your students' first and last names, but the way that I have found to be the easiest is if you type in their lunch number. So typing in their lunch number usually will bring up their name. Type in their whole lunch number and hit enter, and you should see a whole list of students or just that one student pop up. Sometimes when you search for a student by name, it doesn't always find them. So that's why I always enter my students in using their lunch number. For the sake of this video and for privacy and security, I'm just going to hit next. I'm not going to add any students to this notebook, but you have already seen what it would look like once you already have added those students in there. Now, OneNote gives us some pre-filled options. If you want to use some of these, you can, but I always remove them because the only thing that I want students to use this for is ERLA. So I add a section called ERLA, and then that's the only folder that they're going to have to worry about navigating and going to. You can preview it before you're done. You can see what it looks like on the teacher side, and then what it's going to look like on your student side as well. Next, you're going to hit Create. It's going to take a few minutes to set up your notebook depending on how many students are in there. So we'll just wait for it to be created. Then it says your fourth grade ERLA folder is ready for you. So now once you hit OneNote, once you hit open in OneNote, it'll take you to your OneNote. And once you are there, I'm going to click on My Notebooks. And you can see the folder where we just created is at the top. Fourth grade ERLA. I'm going to click on it. And again, for the sake of security purposes, I did not add students' names in, but you can see we've created this. Now, if you create your notebook and you go back and think, uh-oh, I forgot a student, or I want to go in and add a support teacher or another teacher on my team, you're going to click on Class Notebook, and there's a button here that says Add and Remove Students. So it's going to take you through the prompt again, what folder to go to, and the same process that we did before with adding in students. Okay. Or if you want to add a if you want to add a teacher to this, you're going to click on the graduation cap, and it says, which class notebook would you like to add teachers to? And again, you can simply type in the staff's name, or you can type in their staff email. Try both ways, but typically typing in their email is the most efficient way of finding them and adding them to your notebook. I hope that you have found this video to be very beneficial and useful to you. I use OneNote every day with my students when we're conferencing for ERLA. It helps me be able to put in their goals right from their OneNote into School Pace. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us at the eSchool team. And thank you again and good luck.